Today I want to teach you about the 10% cut, which is something I'm going to ask you to do repetitively in many of your papers. There's one goal to the 10% cut, and that's to strengthen and tighten your writing by eliminating words that you don't need. Good writing develops thoughts and reasons. That means that good writing always has good content. That content should always address the purpose. Why are you writing? Is it to entertain? Is it to inform? Is it to persuade? All the different writing purposes. But good writing values the audience. And there's two different ways that I want you to think about that. Good writing values the audience's intelligence in making sure that you develop the thoughts and the reasons to show your purpose. That means you don't talk down to your audience. That means you have adequate and credible evidence. It means you honor the audience's intellect. But that's not what we're dealing with today. We're dealing with the last 3 bullet points on this list. And the way that we're going to think about values the audience is values the audience's time. Nobody wants to slog through a lot of text that means nothing. So we're going to make sure we do the 10% cut so we can value the audience's time and attention. When we do that, we will make sure we write clear and concisely. That means that we will make sure we eliminate any word or any phrase that isn't necessary for our emphasis or our meaning. When we do that, when we start to play around with words, we start to employ variety. Different sentence structures come out when we do the 10% cut. So, the 10% cut is very much what it sounds like. It's a tool in which you will cut 10% of your words. So, first you have to do your global revision. You have to examine your structure. You have to look at your point of view. You have to think of your approach to this piece, looking at your reasons and evidence and getting your content straight. When you have all of those pieces in place, you have done your global revision. Of course, that means you start your local revision, which is where you look at the minute transitions. You start to employ elements of style, such as alliteration or parallelism or any positives, any of the things that we're trying to teach you. Once you have that global and that local revision, when you are just about to turn it in, that's when the 10% cut comes in. I need you to tally up your words when you start the 10% cut. That means that you use the tools that are in your program to tell you how many words you have. This is a screenshot out of Microsoft Word on a Mac computer. Notice that there's a word count. On the bottom of everything I type on my computer, it actually tells me the word count. So use the tools that are provided for you by your current technology. Then figure out what 10% of that total would be. This is a paper here. It has 796 words total. So if I'm going to cut 10% of my words, that means I need to cut about 80 words. That's what the 10% cut means. When you set a numerical goal, you're more likely to reach it. You're going to struggle hard over your paper to try to figure out how to get those words. When you don't set a numerical goal, you're far more likely to just accept it as is. You read it, but you don't read it carefully. So, seek to eliminate 80 words from your draft, but there's also something key to that. You can't lose any meaning. That also means you can't lose emphasis. Well, okay, how do I do that? I'm thinking. You better watch some of the examples that follow. You'll learn from those. Here is example number 1. Let's take a look at this sentence, which reads, now a decade later, we see annual revenues struggling to even reach half of that figure. That's 16 words. Let's figure out how we can get this to be fewer words. Well, we don't need of that. We can say half that figure. So that's going to help right there. We can get rid of now and say a decade later, we see annual revenue struggling to even reach half that figure. We're getting better. But I think the main problem here is that we don't need these words at all. I'm going to get rid of them. A decade later, annual revenues struggle to even reach half that figure. All right, I'm pretty happy with that one. Let's see how many words that is. That is 12 words. So let's see. That is a pretty significant gain. Let's take a second to look at the example that you just watched. On the top is the finished sentence, the one we revised. The bottom is the original sentence. In the red are the words that we've eliminated, and in the bold are the words we've kept. Take a look at that and see what type of words we eliminate. Now, let's look at example 2. Let's read this example. The economists who have puzzled over this issue all agree on one simple conclusion: that improved public access to the internet and the World Wide Web has forever changed the way musicians and record labels alike will make ends meet. All right, that's 43 words. Okay, well, the first thing I can do is get the low-hanging fruit. I'm getting rid of that. Okay, now what? I think we could say economists. We don't need the. So I'm going to get rid of it. Economists who have puzzled over this issue all agree on one simple conclusion. Now, I see 2 words I can get rid of. I could get rid of all, but I'm not going to because that's a point of emphasis. It means they all agree that there's unity in this. That helps this point have more weight. And I think I'm going to keep this word, which I could also get rid of, but I like it because there's a point of emphasis there. So, oh, I see something huge. Isn't the internet and the World Wide Web pretty much the same thing? I think so. Improved public access to the internet has forever changed the way musicians and record labels alike will make ends meet. I could get rid of alike. I don't need it. But again, I'm going to leave it because it has a point of emphasis. I will, however, get rid of this because the change is current. It's not just in the future. It's now. So I don't think I need that word. Let's see how many words I have now. I have 32. That's quite a cut. Let's take a look at the final draft of example 2. Once again, look at the words in red to see what kind of words get eliminated. Let's move on to example 3. Let's read this example. Basically, this company, Huawei, I'm not sure if I'm saying that right, is a corporation based in China that specializes in telecommunication systems and has become the world's largest telecommunications equipment maker in the entire world. All right, I think we see some things there that repeat. For instance, the word company and the word corporation, very much the same. I don't need both. And I definitely don't need the world's largest and in the entire world. So I'm looking for things that repeat, that tell me the same information. Okay, let's start cutting. I'm going to take this out. I'm going to take out the linking verb is because that's often a very weak verb. A corporation based in that specializes, all right, has become the world's largest. There we go. Let's read it now. Basically, Hawaii, that a corporation based in China. Ooh, you know what? I've got 3 words here, and I think this is more accurate. It's not based in China. It's a Chinese corporation. Basically, Hawaii, a Chinese corporation that specializes in telecommunication systems, has become the world's largest telecommunications equipment maker. I think I like that, though I have to say, I don't like the word telecommunications appearing twice so closely together. But because I'm not a specialist in this information, I'm not sure how else to revise it. So I've cut out my words, but I'm not happy with the sentence. Let's take a look at what I have. I have 18. Here is the final of example 3. Once again, the words in red have been eliminated. Please note that is as a linking verb was eliminated, and that gives different opportunities for stronger verbs. There are some key points that you should remember from these 3 examples. Seek to eliminate useless words. Words such as that or we see, those typically aren't needed. Strengthen your verbs. Hone in on linking verbs such as is, are, was, were, have, has, had, be, been, being. Try to get stronger, crisper verbs. And always look where you're repeating. Try hard not to repeat words that you don't need. Let's take a look how we did. In the 3 examples, if I total up all the different words, there are 87 words. When we're done with our revision, we got it down to 62 words. That means we cut 25 words out of the total, which means we cut 28%, not 10%. But wait a minute, aren't we supposed to just do the 10% cut? I want you to think about this as weight loss. Some people can't afford to lose too much weight, and some people could afford to lose more. Some of you will struggle to do a 10% cut, and we'll start to learn that that's probably not a reasonable number for you to set. You might want to set a 6% cut. Some of you will find that you could probably do with a 14% cut, and you're going to be okay. But for right now, we're just going to set the numerical goal of 10%. Numerical goals are measurable. They'll make you work harder. So for right now, set the 10% goal and adjust as you learn your own writing style.